Okay, so today we're going to do a video of taking apart a number 44 Lewmar low profile new standard hatch, and we'll just start at the beginning all the way through getting the frame halves apart. We're going to replace the acrylic and the seal because the seal is split. We've done all the other hatches on the boat. Some of them were way worse than this one. But this one, again, because the seal split, we've got the part, we're just going to go ahead and replace it. So we'll start by removing these screws here to take the, not really a hinge, but it's what holds the hatch in place when you lift it up so it doesn't just flop all over the place. So we'll take these two screws off here to start, and then we'll get the hinges out. I'll show you how to take those off. And then after that, the window comes free. Then we'll clean up the frame, all the sealing surfaces, and replace things.
Go ahead.
Whenever you're taking stuff apart, you need to be careful not to strip stuff because depending on what you get from Lewmar, the acrylic and seal kit comes with the handles, the seal, and just the acrylic. It does not come with any hardware. So you want to keep your hardware in a safe place. You don't want to strip screws unless you have spares somewhere. Some of it can get a little tough. Anyways, I've removed these two screws. So we just pull this off, and then these pieces come out. Next step is removing these little plastic covers. And you just kind of want to do it gently and work your little screwdriver in there. Pry it up, fell down on the bed. And again, you want to be gentle. They're kind of brittle, they've been sun-baked. So that's how it just pops up off. And then we've got another plastic clip right here. And we're kind of going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it upside down. It works better that way so it doesn't go flying off. And one here. So we've got those off. Again, they're just plastic, be gentle. And then what we've got is a plastic rod with the two hinge pins. Here's one I've taken off of another hatch that we're working on. Looks just like this. So what we've got to do is just, and this one's coming out easy again. Some of them are much more difficult. This one's, I think it's been replaced recently. We just bought the boat, so we're not sure what's all been done, but it's been replaced more recently than the other ones. Some of them have come apart really hard. The smaller hatches have a different style on them, and I can show you those later in the video. So while you're working, be careful not to damage the sealing surface. This one's already got some Mars on it, but we'll try and polish some of that out. And these have an anodized finish on them, so it's pretty easy to break that anodized finish with tools or whatever. You know, if you get rough spots, you can file them out with a really, really fine file, but be aware you're exposing bare aluminum at that point. Okay, so that's what it looks like whenever it's actually engaged in the hatch right here. This is with those two pins slid in. So now we just slide them all the way through. Put them in a safe place. Same on this side. And that's how to remove one of the bigger hatches that have low profile new standard Lewmar hatches that has the tensioner device on them. We'll clean all this stuff up, and then we'll get to the separating the two halves so that we can replace the seal here. Okay, so this is the smaller Lewmars. I can't remember which size this is, 20 maybe. So you can see it's still got this cover over the hinge assembly that we pop up off. And this is the one that they show you on the actual Lewmar on the video, at least the one that the video I found. And then the tensioner in here, instead of having that plastic rod with the two hinge pins and the clip that goes in, this style actually has a turn barrel in it. I'm not going to take it apart because we've already taken these apart and replaced the seal and the glass. So these have a turn barrel in them, and you stick two Allen keys into the holes and you turn the small screw into the barrel. And I think that they do it this way because when you put them back together, you tension this, you turn that screw out of the barrel and put tension on it, and that's what supplies the tension to keep this window from just flopping around, is actually the turn barrels. I will tell you that these are, if they've been on for a long time, they're a bear. They're really hard to get apart. The threads on this screw are really badly corroded in the barrel, or can be. So PB Blaster or whatever your favorite penetrant is, and hit them with that. When you take them apart, this piece here is plastic. This pin over here is aluminum. So you want to, the heat, like if you were to heat the barrel, you would want to be careful of this plastic piece or have a replacement. Again, with the kit, there's no replacement hardware, no replacement screws, no replacement anything, none of this soft plastic stuff. That's all separate. So you might, if you're gonna do several hatches or even just one, you might buy some spare hardware or consumable type stuff so that if you damage it when you're removing it, you can take it apart. One of the hatches on the other side, I actually ended up having to just put a pair of vice grips on the barrel and pull it away, or maybe it was a screw, depends on which orientation they go in. But ended up having to just pull this out, which broke the plastic piece. So I've got to order a new one. I put it back together, it's holding, but I have to order a new plastic piece to put in there. So just be aware, that's how the style of hatches come apart that don't have the hinge assembly on them. So this is another size 44 that we've got on the table now. And you can see on this one that the seal is really spread. It was leaking. So up here, the halves came apart pretty nicely. You can hold that. You can see that this one moves, and that's good. You can see the key that's in there. It lines up the two halves. One side came loose. That's good. This side, the hinge side, and there seems to always be one side, at least, doesn't want to come apart. It's corroded really badly in there. The keyway is corroded. It's aluminum key inside of an aluminum hinge with stainless steel screws. So there's corrosion. I've already hit them with blaster, again, or penetrating oil in all four of the holes. I might put a little bit down here. The key runs through inside here. Again, you can see that key over here, that black piece inside right there, and how it's sliding on this side. this side's not. So I've done several of these. If you have a better way, feel free to comment, or if I'm screwing something up, feel free to comment. But the goal is to just slowly spread these apart. I could have a better set of tools, but I'm working with what I got. So I'm starting with a razor blade or a box cutter blade and just putting it down in the hole and tapping on it with my pipe wrench hammer, just to try and get that to slowly spread apart. We can only go so deep because there is a key through here. So we're just going to kind of get that started and in there, and then we'll flip it over. And we'll have to come in from the other side and do that as well. And we'll just keep working it on both sides until we can get a good start on it. This is more slow and steady, patient kind of thing. Brute force isn't what we're looking at here. And be aware, again, the frames are aluminum, so you don't want to really pry. You know, you get a screwdriver or putty knife or something in there that you can really pry with, and you want to pull it apart, but you'll deform the frame pretty badly, pretty quickly. You need to be careful because it will deform this aluminum. So I've worked it mostly to where the blade goes in pretty good. We're not quite to the flat of the blade, but we've at least got a start on it. And then I've taken a putty knife and put just a slight edge on it, so that it doesn't go in. If you just were to use a square edge on the putty knife, or like try to force a screwdriver in there, it will actually cut into the aluminum, and you'll push burrs ahead of it, which you'll end up having to clean off with a file so that the halves go back together whenever you put it back together. So again, we're just gonna and you can see just that little bit of deformation just from using that, because everything's in there so tight, it just does not want to move. So we're just going to keep working it with the razor blade, and then with the box, or with the putty knife, and then eventually we'll work our way up to, you know, small screwdrivers, whatever wedges you have that will fit in there, and we're just gonna keep working away. It's taken me up to an hour, 2 hours to get some of these apart. So we'll come back whenever I've got it moving again, or maybe whenever I'm starting to work the screwdrivers in, and I'll show you some of the things that we figured out not to do so as not to break things. In about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I've gotten it to the point where I've got the 2 small screwdrivers in. Again, I realize maybe not the best tools for the job, but it's what we've got. So I'm still just slowly driving the screwdrivers in and letting the wedge do the work. I don't want to start prying on it because I don't want to deform this area on either side any more than we're already doing just from driving a wedge. So just slowly working the wedge in. This side also going around on the top side of the hatch and doing the same thing, just slowly, meticulously working through. You will be able to see down in here in the screw holes, you'll be able to see when one side or the other starts moving, and on all but maybe one of the hatches or maybe 2 of the hatches, only one side of that key came out. Whenever we tried to remove the second side, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I get it apart. But when we tried to remove it completely, nothing we could do would get it out. I mean, we tried driving it through the hinge area, just various things. Maybe with the right set of tools in a shop or something, I could get them out, maybe, without breaking it. But here we were not able to. So again, I'll show that to you here in a little bit. But the point being is, you can see when one side starts to move as the screw holes no longer line up. It looks like this half is the one that's going to come free. And I may actually even put some screws in here once I'm sure that this is the side that's moving. I may put some screws back in here to keep this side from moving at all, because I want this side to stay lined up, because we're probably not going to get it completely out and be able to clean it properly and get it to where it just slides in and out freely. So if it's not going to slide in and out freely, we want it not to move, because if those holes become misaligned, getting it back in, even though you might think, well, just pound it in or whatever, it's a piece of aluminum, you start pounding on it, and it doesn't move, things are going to get tore up. Okay, we'll be back. So 20 minutes later, and this is where we're at. I did end up putting those 2 screws back in to hold the key in place on this side. You can see on this side, well, it's kind of hard to see, the holes are awful dark, but it's sliding out this way. That's where that's from. If I had a better light, which I don't, you'd be able to see down in there and see that the key's moving, the holes are no longer lined up. So now I'm just running bigger screwdrivers in there. You can see the seal, where the seal goes into the frame, right down there. That's what that black spot is, right there. And then there's the key. I've got just enough room to fit a screwdriver in between the seal and the keyway. And so I'm just going to continue to slowly start to pry them apart now that I've got a good bite on them. And once we get it moving, hopefully we can just pull it apart. So now I've got it spread pretty far apart. I got it far enough apart to be able to get a pair of needle nose pliers in the gap, and then I just pulled the pliers apart. And at the same time as you're doing that, you have to make sure that this side opens up as well, because you don't want to get it in a twist. Because if you get it twisted up too far to where it's spread, you'll break one of the keys. Don't ask me how I know. So I'm going to finish taking this apart. Actually, I'll just do it right now. And it was only that easy because I was basically at the very end. So now we just slide the 2 halves apart. And that's what we're left with. And looking at hatch sizes,
whoops.
Scaring the puppies.
Sorry, Lils. She's our little boat dog. Hi, Sissy.
So this is the old seal. You can see where the seam came apart. Hatch sizes are supposed to be printed up here somewhere, and we can try scrubbing that off a little bit and see if we can see it. But oh, there it is. So it's under the seal. And this is an older one.
It's hard to see.
It's really hard to see. There's some numbering there.
It's
So again, this is a 44 hatch. I guess I can barely see two 44s on there under the word Lewmar.
How did you figure out the hatch sizes?
To figure out the hatch sizes, luckily Beneteau has a decent parts drawing website, and on their website we were just able to look up the hatch sizes. It's not real super clear, but you can kind of muddle your way through it.
Do you remember the website?
I do not. It's the Beneteau spare parts website. I don't know the web address off the top of my head. Had to call the Beneteau dealer to get access. They give you a password to get access to that. Obviously, if you don't have a Beneteau, then hopefully you can find spare parts drawing somewhere, or some list of what's been installed on the boat, or forums. But again, there is a part number under, that would be under the seal. This would be under the seal, and that is the part number. And we'll show you on the new one how clear the part number is. Still under the seal, but you can at least see it on the new hatch. So here's the second hatch we're doing today. It's the one I showed you, took a video of me removing the hatch from the frame. So here it is on the table. Again, it sucks because this one looks really nice. The glass is really good. I don't have any just seals to just replace the seal without replacing the glass. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the glass on this one as well, the seal and glass, as it came from Lewmar. And we'll probably save this glass and hatch, the handles. The handles do come with it, like I said. And this piece comes with it as well. We'll save all these parts, just put it back in storage. And then, we can maybe just get a new seal or glue this one. Probably just get a new seal. I'm not a big fan of reusing stuff. So got to pull these 8 screws out, 4 on this side, 4 on this side. If the video is wobbly, I'm sorry, doing it from a phone. This is our first video, so bear with us. I think these will probably come out because, like I said, I believe this hatch has been done more recently than the other ones. But if you can't get the screws out with a screwdriver, do not strip them, again, unless you have spares, and then you're going to end up having to drill them out or easy out them or something, and you're going to ruin the screw. So before you strip a screw with a regular screwdriver, get an impact screwdriver. I had a few screws that I had to use this on. You basically just put it down in, push down on it, and then you pound it with a hammer, or tap, pound, somewhere in between. And as you pound it, it drives the screwdriver down in and actually applies rotation to the screw. So you're putting pressure on it and turning it and shocking it. I had 2 screws that I just could not. I almost stripped them. Couldn't get out with a screwdriver. So luckily we were somewhere where we could run to the, I think AutoZone had these for like $20, and got an impact screwdriver. So probably won't need it with this one, but it's just a good tool to have if you don't already have one.
Okay.
So the frames have come apart, or the hatch frames have come apart and been cleaned. All the channels have been scrubbed out with red Scotch-Brites. They're abrasive enough to work, but not so abrasive that they tear anything up, that they hurt the anodization on the aluminum. Now I'm going to lube the key pieces with a little bit of dielectric grease, because that's what we've got. And then we'll lube the seals with Seal Glide, which you can get at Napa or whatever, an auto parts store or Amazon. and that's actually made for rubber seals. They make it for car door seals and whatnot. Typically we would put all the screws in the side that the key didn't come out of, but whenever somebody redid one of these windows, they must have messed up some screws and they got some replacements that were the wrong size. So we're leaving these out right now because these keys are locked in on this side. They won't move. You can't move them with a hammer without breaking things. And then we'll get the right parts and replace those later. Whenever we put screws back in, I like to put a little corrosion block. Got this at Defender, I think it was Defender. That stuff seems to work really well. We just squirt a little bit in each hole before we put the screw in. We cleaned the holes out as well as we could, cleaned the open channels out really good. One thing we didn't have, which would be really useful, is a bore brush, like a 22 caliber bore brush, to get down in the channels, to get down in the screw holes. Maybe a 30 caliber bore brush would work too, but either way. Point being, clean everything up as best as you can, lubricate everything. We'll lubricate, like I said, the seals, and I'll show you that here in a minute, and then we'll get everything slid together and screwed back up. I tried to show you where the part number was on the old window and we couldn't really see it, but on the new window it kind of shows up. It's right there under the seal on the latch side, on the handle side, and you can kind of see it. I don't want to take the seal all the way off, but that is where the part number should be. Now, like I said, we're just taking Seal Glide. I'm going to leave the protective paper on the top side of the hatch glass. We'll just take some Seal Glide and put a little bit around the edge. And then just spread it around on both sides. Get it nice and lubricated, and it should slide into place. We do have a bar clamp handy if we end up needing that, but hopefully we will not. And we'll come back to you whenever we're putting them together. So we've lubricated all the way around the seal on the outside, both sides, top and bottom, on the sealing surface. The window also ships with a little bit of, there's a dollop of lubricant up on this side of it. So you just want to spread that around the sealing surface. It's just a really nice thin coat, and it just, whenever you go to latch it down, it provides a little lubrication to that seal, so it's not dry and doesn't tug pull. It just kind of slides into place and fits nicely. So now we'll put the halves together. Move everything out of the way here. Careful not to snag the seal with any edges whenever you're putting it on. You want to put it on evenly. So make sure we got a skim of grease on these. And you need them to go in evenly. So where you can get in trouble is if it goes part of the way in, you try and pull it back apart, and you twist as you pull apart, you'll actually break the key. So you want to be careful not to do that. You want them to go in pretty evenly to where you just get one side just started. And then get the other side lined up and in. And we might have to clamp that side to get it the rest of the way in. So to put the hinges back, put the hatches back on, you've got your pins. Each one of them slides into a side of the frame like that, just so you can see how they go in. So what we do is we take this plastic pin, slide it in, and slide the two pins, or the two hinges, in through there. And then we have them lined up so that the rectangular pieces are oriented this direction. We slide the other ones in, same thing. Again, we'll orient those in that direction. And we push them in. Push those in there. Now it's a matter of just putting the hatch up on, lining the holes up, and sliding these out. It's kind of a two-person job, so we're not going to film it because we need all the hands. So then we put the clips back on, like that, like that. And the cover pieces go back on. The last thing we put on is the hinge, the pieces that hold this to the hatch. Got it. So these just go in a hole. Just a little bit. That's good. Down just a slight there. Up just a shade. There we go, right there. Got it?
Go.
Right behind, use the Phillips. Got it? And these just screw right in there. You have to hold the backing on the window so it doesn't pop off. Divots in our new window. Okay, now it's on. Lisa will do the honors.
Yay! This is the most satisfying part. I love this part. I gotta just try and do it one-handed.